I am Jennifer Ferrero, and my role in the company is Business Development Manager. And I have also been a business owner myself for over 20 years here in the Spokane area, and have had a lot of experiences, both good and bad, through recessions and as well as great times in our economy in running my companies. I would encourage you to use the worksheet that you should have received during the course of the webinar, and I will refer to it several times. And again, if you have a question for me as we're going along, please feel free to use the chat window, take some notes. I'm hoping that this is a webinar that will allow you to develop some new plans for your business. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. If you'll please let me know if you can see a slide that has a graphic on it that says mindset. Yes, Lynette, thank you. Okay. All right, wonderful. Well, a few months ago, none of us would have anticipated the changes that we've now faced in our economy with the stay-at-home order, with COVID-19, and this has been a real crisis for a lot of businesses. And one of our greatest concerns at Action Coach is that our local businesses, our regional businesses, are allowed to survive and thrive. We don't want to see businesses go under, and we do know that there are some practical matters that you can do at this time to keep your business going. Now, I do know that there are some businesses that are really thriving right now just by the nature of their industry and how they operate. But we know that there are 5 key areas that you may wish to work on if you are not thriving, and even if you are, you may still have extra time right now to work on some of these. So there are 5 areas we'll cover today. The first one is mindset, and the second is areas of business where you might consider pivoting. We'll talk a little bit about product and service pivots, marketing and sales, and then team and resource pivots. If you'll notice on the graphic on the right that mindset is at the center of the graphic. So we're going to start there because your mindset as an owner is very important. One note before we go to the next slide is I sent out a worksheet to those who had registered for the class. I'm hoping that you will use that worksheet throughout the class. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look at where your mindset is today. So I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll and have you guys respond to the poll. There we go. Looks like everyone's responding. And this is an anonymous poll, of course. And what I'm seeing here is that we have some that are optimistic, some that are hopeful, and at least 1 or 2 that are anxious. So that is something that, you know, a lot of people are feeling is being anxious at this time. Okay. Mindset is, there's a theory in Action Coach called point of power. And some of you maybe have seen this graphic before if you've worked with us in the past. In the point of power, we have people, and you may know folks like this in your life, or maybe you're one of these people yourself, where you have trouble and there are trials in life and in your business, and you immediately resort to blame, excuses, and denial. Well, the bad news about that is that puts you in a powerless situation when you are blaming, when you're making excuses for why things are not going well, and when you're in denial. The people that are more powerful and will have positive change in their business are those that take ownership. They're accountable and they're responsible. And that is where you really will want to be as a business owner, is in that powerful position. Okay, let's take a look at the responsibility process. And this looks a little bit like what people go through when someone has passed away and they're going through processing a death almost. But many of you may be in one of these circles right now. I think everyone is in a different place with regard to how they're processing what's going on with the virus. But before we take responsibility for ourselves, sometimes we have to go through each of these stages: denial, blame, justifying, shame, quitting. Some people maybe have thought of quitting their business, feeling an obligation though to their staff and their people before they're ready to take responsibility. So it's important to know that taking responsibility is a choice, it's a decision, and it's a commitment. All right, let's talk a little bit about your identity. Oftentimes, what we see when we look at someone and their identity, or we think about our own identity, is we're thinking about just what we're seeing at the top, the results that come out to people. Those are actions, decisions, and behavior. That's what we see. That's on the outside of what's going on. But really, there's a whole lot going on below the surface of this iceberg. So you have the part that's under the water. And when you see those results of the actions, decisions, and behavior, you have to take into account all of this stuff that's also going on, the environment in which one was raised, their value system, their beliefs, and their skills that they've developed throughout their career. So there is a lot that goes into that. During this current time, a lot of us could take a hit with regard to our identity, and that can influence our actions, decisions, and behavior. I think it's important to note that our identity is so much more than just what's happening right now in this virus. And I know that a lot of businesses are having some great challenges, but there's so much that you can do to affect your future business. So today during the webinar, I would encourage you to participate 100%, be involved, fill out the worksheet as I make note to that, and really think about some changes that you can make in your business for the better. So if you get up and you walk away and you don't listen, you're probably going to miss some things. We have quite a bit to talk about today, so I would encourage you to continue to participate. All right, well, let's talk about business structure and what pivots might be required in your business structure. Well, we know that there could be some organizational shifts, and some of you maybe have already done that. I know of some businesses that immediately downsized, put their employees on furlough, or laid them off completely. And so how is your business going to shift to meet what's going on in the current marketplace? That's something to give some consideration to. Maybe it's reallocating people into some different roles. Maybe you're thinking a little bit about your cost centers, and perhaps you have employees that are more in an admin role that can now potentially be in more of a sales role, and they're driving business a little bit more. Perhaps you have laid off some staff, and so you're a little bit more short-staffed, but you can then reallocate some of the talented employees that you have remaining into other positions. So thinking about how you can change some of your overhead costs to being more profit center costs. And that might be another way to think about that. Also right now, if you have an inbound model of delivery, meaning that your customers are coming to you to pick up your product or order your product, think about how you can generate more of an outbound delivery model so that you're going to your customers. And we know that a lot of that has happened in the food service industry, especially with grocery stores and restaurants right now, where you can go either pick up right at a counter and get your food, or they'll deliver right to you. Or you can do curbside pickup. That's something that the grocery stores have done. So there's quite a bit going on with changes in delivery models right now, and we'll talk a little more about that in a minute. Thinking about the weak link in your business. What is the weak link? Is it one of the services that you offer? Is there one of the products that you can just dump right now? It's not useful, it's not selling. How can you get rid of it? I know those are some of the considerations we've been making at Action Coach Northwest in the past few weeks. Is we have a very small team, so there's nowhere for anyone to go unless we're laid off. But the weak link could be, again, a service or product that is no longer useful and will not help sustain the business. And then thinking about a new solution for the business and innovating. This is another time right now where you can think about an innovative technique that you could use. Now, going back to the workshop, I would encourage you to take a look at the business structure note. If there's one area of the business structure that I could change, what would it be? And then aside from that, how will I measure success with this change in my business structure? There are so many different things that you might consider trying, but then really considering what will make this change the most successful for my company. If you're a solopreneur, then you only have you to rely on, right? So you probably can't make a staffing change there, but you might consider, again, a service delivery change and how you can be there for your current clients and customers. And again, just how do you measure the success of that? Okay, so what pivots are required in my measurements? So let's talk about addressing measurement. So when we make any changes to the business, we should be prepared to measure those changes. We have at Action Coach the key performance indicators, the KPIs. We measure these every Monday, and we talk about KPIs for each staff member. So that's one way that we know that the needle is moving forward and we're making positive changes. Some of us measure things like, well, revenue. Right? That's a big point of measurement, is how many sales did we have this week? Maybe it's the number of registrations for a class. Perhaps you're measuring social media. You're measuring your likes and your shares and that type of thing. Maybe you're measuring the number of contacts that you've made this week, or the number of people who have said yes to a sales meeting to talk to you. These are things that should be measured on a regular basis by the entire team and discussed, because that's how you know that you are, again, making headway. So if you think about adding new services or products to your business, again, how will you measure that? How often will you discuss those metrics in your business? And how will you know if any changes have been successful? So those are important things to do. We have a customer relationship management system, a CRM, in our business with Action Coach. We do take a look at that. We move lists around regularly. We have prospects, we have suspects, those are people in our target market. We have clients, we have past clients. So we have a lot of measurement lists that move, that shift, and we do discuss each and every person and company on that list on a regular basis. So that's something for you to consider as well. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and issue another poll right now. And so what is your greatest business challenge right now? And we have team, time, systems, sales, cash flow, and profits. And I know that a lot of businesses are having some cash flow issues right now. Systems development is another one, especially if you are making changes in your business model. Sales is coming up on the list. A lot of people are having trouble with sales. I know that for us, the first 2 weeks of the stay-at-home order, we contacted so many people, and honestly, everyone just went dark on us. We didn't hear from very many people that first couple weeks, and it's changing now. Now people are starting to come back. But yes, it looks like most people are having trouble with systems, sales, and cash flow at the moment. So just know that you're not alone. Okay. Let's go ahead, now that we've taken a look at some of your business structure pivots, let's take a look at products and services that you may need to pivot. So the reality is that we need to be proactive in understanding the needs of the market. We have a new marketplace right now. We may not go back to a new normal. I know that one of the first things that we did at Action Coach Northwest is we went to virtual meetings, virtual coaching, virtual education, virtual consultations. Everything for us became virtual because we're a service-based business. And so that's something that we knew needed to happen. That was something that we had on our plans for the third quarter that we were going to work on. It was accelerated. And that is something that might happen to some of you is, again, making those pivots in your business. So if you have, again, a product or service that you can take to the customer now, deliver it directly to them, that's something that you probably should consider. What is going on in the marketplace? There's certainly a lot of data right now, a lot of information about businesses that are making those shifts. Again, I referenced food service. That's one of the biggest areas that we've seen shifting in the industry because people simply have to eat and they have to be able to safely get their food. If you have a cleaning service, maybe your business is booming right now because people want you to come in. I've noticed that a lot of those types of services such as carpet cleaning and commercial services seem to be open. The residential house cleaning, that type of thing, I know has been closed down. So that's a place where some businesses that do residential are struggling, but thinking in terms of, in an innovative way, how can we shift the way that we are delivering? So back to your worksheet, what is one product or service pivot that you can make right now? You know, I would encourage you not to make this difficult for yourself or for your business. Think in terms of maybe a brainstorming activity of all the ways that you could make shifts to the way that you currently do business or that we've traditionally done business into a new model. Again, one of our models with Action Coach is we've always been very traditional in the delivery of the service. Everyone comes to our office. We have meetings all day, every day of people coming into the office. Well, that's just not going to be the case anymore, and we know that. We know that there might be some once the restrictions are lifted where people come in, we're probably going to have a lot of people that won't come into the office anymore, okay? Now, some other important considerations, if you do make some pivots in your product or service delivery and what you're offering to your clients and customers and also to prospects, is how will those changes impact your brand reputation? You want to ensure that you still have a strong brand reputation and that people still can refer to you and come to you the way that they have and the way they can rely on you. You're probably going to have to change your messaging on your website, on some printed materials that you might have in your social media posts, and really thinking in terms of being focused on them and how you can help them, the customer. I know that we went through the entire website this past week and we changed all of our language to focus on you as the customer as opposed to how we can help and what our expertise is and what makes us great. All of that's gone. We're now focusing, and rightly so, on the customer and what their pain points are and how we can help support them. Think about, too, are you creating new intellectual property? Is there something that you need to document if you're changing your business model? Now, if you are making a large change like that in your business, you know, that could take longer than just this time period that we're in right now and this reaction that we're having to the current situation. But start to document that information. And then also consider what education is required to communicate your changes. What education will your customers or clients need that they currently are not aware of in order to get the word out about your changes? How many different communication channels, for example, can you employ to communicate this new information? How can you develop consistency in the way that you communicate this information to people? Okay. those are things that you can consider. One other note I had on the worksheet there is if you do make a product and service pivot, what's the estimated time commitment for you to do that? And really making note, kind of on a high level perspective, if I make this change to my business, how much time will it take for us to implement that change? And then what's the estimated budget for implementing that change? Because there may be a cost in doing that. You have to do the math and figure out how you'll recover your costs, okay? Now, I'm hoping that a lot of you have a USP, which is known as a unique selling proposition for your business. And one of the, what is a USP? What does that look like? Well, for this particular practice of Action Coach Northwest, our USP is that we, Action Coach Northwest is a part of the Action Coach International Network. We have the content and the resources available to us on an international scale to support businesses in our region. And that sets us apart from other business coaches because a lot of business coaches, especially if they're operating independently, they may not have the resources that we have available to us, the classes and the education that we can bring to people, as well as the coaches worldwide. That is a difference that does set this business apart. Now, if you have, let's say you're a photographer, maybe your USP is we offer the best photography studio options in the region through our backgrounds, our props, our easy scheduling, and our photographic skill. Now, if that's your USP before the virus, you may shift that now to say, we come to you and we bring our props with us, or something of that nature. So shifting that USP based on what's going on. The WIFM, hopefully a lot of you have heard of a WIFM, which is what's in it for me. And that is, again, what I referenced a moment ago on our website is what's in it for our customers and clients when they come to this website, answering the call of these questions they might be asking. Okay, so that's something that you might want to consider. And honestly, if you look at most websites, most business websites, it's all about the business. It's all about their expertise, how awesome they are, how much skill they have. And I think we're in a time right now, especially where we need to really be thinking of what's in it for my client. What questions are they going to be asking, and then answer those questions. Also, you may have to consider a new marketing budget right now. You may want to consider some digital marketing if you're not doing that already. There are a lot of resources here in the greater Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area for digital marketing. And also there's something, like Google AdWords. You could be doing that on your marketing so that you're picking up keywords that people are searching for and coming up in searches. If you haven't optimized your website at this point, you want to optimize it for search engine optimization, making sure that people can find you. So go through your website, make sure that you have all of your tags on your blog posts, make sure you have page descriptions and page titles, that your images are tagged. These are all things that we've been working on in Action Coach Northwest to make sure that we are found when people need help and they need to come to us. So those are a few shifts. Also consider other initial investments you might need to make in your marketing budget. Well, for us, it was Zoom, which is not a very big expense, but we needed to be able to get online and do Zoom webinars. So that was an expense that we had to bear. There's been other ones that maybe we wouldn't use during normal times. So those are things that you can consider. Also think about things like newsletters and how you can employ those. There are so many wonderful newsletter systems. And if you have a great contact list or a mailing list that you can start to employ, this is a great time to communicate with people and let them know what's being offered and how it can help them. So those are just a few thoughts on how you might change your marketing to pivot right now. So another thing to consider is who you're talking to and how often you're talking to them. For us, we have marketing mailing lists for just about every type of group that we've ever encountered. I've known a lot of businesses that are not in this position. I think we're fortunate that we have these lists and we've set those aside so that we can communicate with, say, inactive clients or customers. We can talk directly to people who are in the community, who we are friends with and acquaintances with, and we see at meetings when we normally go to meetings. We can talk to them about our services. We can talk to strategic partners separately and have separate offers for them. So all of these methods of communication and who you're going to talk to, those are things that you can consider now. And ideally, you'll be able to track those, the results and the measurement in your email marketing program or through your social media or however you're communicating with people. Okay. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about team, and we're going to shift gears a little bit. Take a look at our worksheet here. Hopefully you had a moment there to start to think about your unique selling proposition, and maybe you've had one for years. Maybe it needs to change a little bit right now, as well as the WIFM, what's in it for your clients and customers when they work for you, and fill that out on your worksheet, okay? So let's talk a little bit about how your team might need to pivot. Again, unfortunately, for a lot of organizations, they've probably had to make a change with their staffing. I know that in my Toastmasters meeting last night, I noticed 2 of the Toastmasters in our club had just recently been laid off, and they're struggling. They're having a hard time with that. There are a lot of businesses that have had to lay off people. I feel fortunate that I'm able to stay employed right now with Action Coach and work with Ted and team here. But it is a challenging time. If we have adjusted our team and our staffing, we have fewer people, we need to then reallocate who's doing what and what needs to be done so that you aren't slowing down significantly. If anyone has ordered online recently, you probably have noticed emails coming out from the companies saying, we're so sorry, this will take longer than it normally takes for you to receive this package. Well, they're probably shifting, they're reallocating who's doing what. They may not have staff in the office or at the warehouse all of the time, so now they have to change their model of delivery. Okay, so while you're reallocating and you're thinking about pivoting your resources, you want to still consider leverage. How can you leverage your time, talent, and resources to make sure that you're getting the most out of all of those things? What training must be developed and implemented in order to look at some untapped talents that you might have in the business? So look for some ways to utilize those now. So on the worksheet, there is a section where you can start to make notes about areas to pivot with your team now, thinking about roles, responsibilities, and tasks. And if you have the time in your business right now to rewrite those roles and the descriptions about their jobs. Also taking a look at some of your systems and processes. Now, for some organizations, they have very stringent systems that have been in place for a long time, and they're very good at managing their systems. Everything from taking the order to delivering the order to communicating with customers to the sales process. There are so many different ways you could be looking at your systems right now if you have the time. If you have inventory, you might consider an inventory analysis. Take a look at slow moving or obsolete inventory that you can move out. Maybe there's a way to have some discount of inventory or a fire sale, if you will, to unload some of the inventory that you no longer need. Take a look with your facilities and your equipment at how to maybe refinance a loan that you have to pay for things, get some credit, delay projects maybe that will consume some cash, but really analyzing those facets of the business. And then obviously cash flow management is probably one of the most important things, especially if you still have payroll and staff and you need to maintain those folks. You have to maintain your cash flow. So take a look weekly and gain early visibility. This is a time right now that if you work with an accountant, you probably should be in touch with your accountant or bookkeeper on a regular basis, even if you traditionally are not. For businesses that or owners that are less financially savvy, which you could probably count me among one of them, from my businesses that I've owned, really rely on those folks. Get the help, pay the money, because you need to maintain your cash flow right now. Hopefully a lot of you have been able to get the PPP, payroll protection plan, and other loans from the government and other locations right now. I know that many of us need those at the moment. Okay, so we are a little bit early, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look here at our chat window and see if there's any questions. Yes, and it looks like some of you are noting you have many more than just one challenge right now. And I would say to you, I'm open to having a conversation with you. If you want to talk after the session today, please contact me and let's talk about your business and what's going on in the business. I'm happy to listen. I'm a great listener, and I have a lot of background in business, and of course, Coach Ted would be happy to talk to any of you as well. So I would like to encourage you to take some action today based on what you've heard regarding the way that your business can pivot. Really think in terms of how you might develop even a 90-day leadership plan. Maybe it's a 90-day survival plan, as it is right now, into how you're going to create a stronger business going forward and keep your business going forward. If you do need some support from Action Coach, we can help you. Please contact us. There's this graph here called the demise curve, and this is really kind of a tough graphic to look at if you are a business owner. There are people that are already on the demise curve where they're in trouble, but they're not aware they're in trouble. They're in trouble, but they're maybe in control. They've lost control of the business, or they've lost the business entirely, and they need to now liquidate the business. We want to see you turning around in your business and being aware. And of course, you're on the call today, so you're trying to understand that you may be in trouble, but you can be in control of your business. So let's work toward a turnaround in the business. In crisis, a lot of people are either in flight, fight, or freeze. One of the things that we've noticed is that a lot of folks are freezing right now. They're simply not wanting to do anything. They're paralyzed by fear, or they're running. And so we don't want to see you in flight or freezing. We want to see you fighting for your business and developing a plan of action. You are not alone. There are so many resources to help you in your journey as a business owner, and this is a great challenge. It really is. But if you start to develop a plan and some action, you can survive this. Business coaching is one way to do that. It can help you in your business. And one of the things, you've probably seen this graph before with the innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Usually the people that are the last to react, to create that plan, the laggards, they're the ones that will lose the business. If you're an early adopter, which we're several weeks in now, maybe about a month in, on the stay-at-home order, then you still have a chance to get in and save your business and be an early adopter to early majority here and make some changes right now. So ideally, you would turn around. You probably a couple of weeks ago might have pivoted faster, or maybe you already have, but the early adopters are the ones that are going to survive. So a lot of you may do nothing with this information. We do hope, however, that you do take some action. I hope you'll take a minute to fill out the worksheet and think through some of these pivots that you can make. Maybe it's just one or two small pivots in the business. Ultimately, if you're getting the product or service to the customers and generating new customers, that's what you want to do. So please give some thought to doing that. We will offer you a 1-hour pivot strategy review if you do want some help considering what you're going to do with the business right now. Please, please, please don't get to the point of liquidation or letting all of the staff go before you consider getting some help and having some coaching. We're offering pro bono hours right now to get people some help that they need. And we are absolutely here for all of our regional businesses. So please contact us. So thank you for attending this webinar today. We're done a little bit early, so I do appreciate all of you being here. And as I said, I'm Jennifer Ferrero. I'm the Business Development Manager. My email is jferrero@actioncoach.com, or you can email Ted Schmidt or go to the website.